It's wild. It's recruiting. Recruiting is just wild. And when you look at the recruitment of a specific 5-star and the defensive lineman of David Stone in the University of Oklahoma, a lot of you guys are asking on Twitter. I've had people ask me in person. Yes, some of you guys are actually picking me out in crowds, and it's a little freaky. So I prefer to do that in front of the wife because the wife doesn't believe me when that happens. But uh, people are asking questions. What's going on with Oklahoma and David Stone? Like, why are people not more comfortable with David Stone to Oklahoma? And we're going to talk about it today because when you really sit down and you really think about it and you talk to the sources, it doesn't really feel like anybody has a good idea about where David Stone's going to be. And as a lot of you guys have pointed out here in the comments of these videos, David Stone said it himself. He wants to beat the Crystal Balls. He doesn't want a Steve Wiltfong or other people to be able to predict where he is going and give it away. David Stone likely wants to be able to make this decision and it be a shock to the world. Now, I mean, if he commits to Oklahoma, is it really a shock to the world? I don't know. We'll leave that up for you guys to go ahead and answer. But in reality, when you talk to people on both sides at both programs, or people that cover both programs, or just people that are kind of mutual, you're kind of hearing that both sides feel good about where they're at in this recruitment. And when you kind of hear that, you don't really know exactly where the kid's going to land. I mean, I'm not saying David Stone's leading people on, but it doesn't feel like anybody kind of has a good foothold on this recruitment. So the question is, where's David Stone going to land? And I think we've talked about it over the past couple of days, and we've talked about all of the facts, right? Where David Stone has been where David Stone has visited the most. The love for the program of Oklahoma, being from Oklahoma City, right? We've talked about all those things. But at the end of the day, this is a really hard recruitment, I feel like, to narrow down and predict, because it's kind of just calling your shot. And David Stone also said it. He's not going to let NIL be the deciding factor and be the driver in his recruitment. And if that's really true to the case, I guess you can't point to a situation like Williams Nwaneri and be like, well, it's NIL driven. Missouri's got the most money. That's where he's going to go. So you look at David Stone, you see the updates, guys. I'm here to tell you, both programs, either they feel good about it, they don't feel good about it, but they're both on equal playing field. So when you talk to somebody over another, you're kind of getting the sense that David Stone's recruitment is really in David Stone's hands. And outside of maybe a couple people, not a lot of people know where this is going. We even talked to people that are close to David Stone, friends with David Stone, and they don't know. So, guys, to put it in perspective, you're going to have to buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride over the next couple of days. But good news for Oklahoma. About to submit a prediction on my Instagram. So if you guys have not followed me, go over to @thepgshow_CFB on Instagram. You guys can follow me there and see my predictions as I make them. But I believe Oklahoma is going to land the commitment of Andy Bass, the 3-star athlete here out of Heritage Hall in Oklahoma City. We're going to have a commitment interview with Andy Bass. Regardless of where he ends up going, we will have a commitment interview here on the podcast for you guys as soon as that commitment drops, so that you guys can just kind of get an in-depth perception of what Andy Bass's recruitment was like and why he ended up picking the school that he ended up going to. Obviously, you see a common offender in this recruitment in the Kansas State Wildcats trying to recruit Andy Bass. They're recruiting guys like Michael Boganowski. They're recruiting a Grant Bricks. So if you're Oklahoma, you're going to have to fight them off. You weren't able to hold them off for Caden Massey, but you might be able to hold them off for the Grant Bricks and Michael Boganowski and even Andy Bass, which Andy Bass would be a great talent to add to this class because Andy Bass is just explosive. And if you look at what happened in 2023 season, where Oklahoma didn't have a quarterback for the Texas game, you want a guy like Andy Bass who at least can play quarterback a little bit and sling the ball around. So if you end up in a position like that again, you have other guys on the team maybe that play other positions that can get behind the center for you and throw the ball around to the wide receivers. But you guys might have seen the announcement that Oklahoma was in the top 4 for a specific 4-star quarterback. And listen, we're just going to go ahead and break y'all's hearts here. He is not going to come to the University of Oklahoma. Trevor Jackson, it's going to be probably Ole Miss or UCLA. It's not going to be Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got their 2 guys in this class. I do not see them taking 3 quarterbacks in this class. I mean, and I don't know, anything shocking. It's recruiting, right? We talk about it all the time. Anything can happen in the wonderful world of recruiting. But Trevor Jackson, I expect to be at Ole Miss or UCLA. You're just kind of seeing Oklahoma in the top 4 here as a logo. Okay, listen, kids like to have Oklahoma in their final schools list. That makes them look good. So don't be expecting that one to come in. Other than that, you've got the commitments of Andy Bass this week. You've got David Stone. You're still watching out for Michael Boganowski, who, listen, it's going to be a coin flip right now between Oklahoma and Kansas State. We'll have to probably wait till in season for that one. So that begs the question, where's Oklahoma going to go at safety? Are they going to take another safety in this class, or will you potentially see them focus attention to 2025 and go after guys like Devin Sanchez or Jonah Williams? Because Oklahoma is definitely in position to go after those guys. Or at the safety spot in 2024, will they go after a guy like a 5-star safety, Xavier Filsaime, who was a guy that they actually probably were in a really good spot for at the beginning of the season before he ended up committing to the Gators, and it felt like Oklahoma kind of laid off the gas a little bit. Additionally, you have the 4-star safety Aaron Flowers, who's committed to Oregon. You got to imagine if Brandon Hall and Jay Vlai continue to push there, maybe they could try to get a flip. But I guarantee you Oregon will probably drop the bag there because they don't want to lose another safety to the University of Oklahoma. We have David Hicks and now Williams Nwaneri PTSD. Oregon's going to have Peyton Bowen PTSD, so they definitely don't want that to happen. There are other prospects that Oklahoma has here, like Landon Cleveland out of Mansfield, Texas, who's currently committed to Oklahoma State. You've heard that name thrown around. Don't think it's likely. But here's the deal. For Oklahoma, you got Jaden Hardy. You've got Michael Patterson McDonald in this class, so I don't necessarily think you have to go all in on another safety if you don't land Michael Boganowski. Because, well, in 2025, like I said, you have Jonah Williams, you have Devin Sanchez, you have DJ Pickett, you have other prospects that you could maybe focus your attention to and say, hey, I'm going to go after those guys instead. Oklahoma could have plenty of guys there. But ultimately, guys, I want to hear from you. So go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. I know the David Stone recruitment is wild. Guys, let's tone it down a little bit. It's going to be a crazy couple of days. You're going to hear a lot of different things coming out. So really, just buckle down, buckle up, get ready. It's a 5-star recruitment. It's going to be wild. So go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. College football is back this Saturday, so make sure y'all are tuning in to week 0. You got high school football around the state. I believe I will be at Carl Albert this week, but we'll talk more about that later in the weekend. You guys have a great day.